Hello, wouldst thou be in the mood for a little bit of Regency? That's right, folks. Today I am taking a look at Regency. And by the way, I am Jeff, your tabletop technician here in the Dice Tower. Regency is a little card game by James Fazio in which 1 to 6 players are trying to fill their domain with the proper citizens of every caste. Okay, first, let me cover the rules. Each player starts with a unique mat representing their particular regent. Oh, that Regency. Right. In the middle of the table will be placed the populace board. Elemental populace, represented by the which will contain 6 citizen cards from the citizen deck. As these cards are claimed, they'll refill in a clockwise order, with new cards being placed at the top left slot. Players will start with 4 of these event cards, which come in 2 primary flavors, ones which are caste-specific and ones which aren't. Oh yeah, I know, I'm using a lot of odd vocabulary here, don't worry, we'll get to that in a moment. Cards that show a caste symbol in their top left corner can only be played by players whose main board represents that caste already, or if they have attracted a citizen into that caste's position within their domain. Cards that don't show a caste symbol in their top corner can be played by anyone. Now these event cards do a variety of things which I'll get to in a moment, but at the bottom of each card is an influence value. Now this can be used to essentially purchase the bottom 3 citizen cards from the main populace board, or it can be used to charge up the ability of your regent, at which point you flip over this mat to indicate its availability for immediate or future use. These abilities might let you draw extra cards, or protect the citizens in your domain from a clever kidnapping. And believe it or not, that's basically how you play the game, which ends immediately when any player manages to have at least 1 card covering each of the 6 caste positions on their player mat. Now, how you make that happen is how this game starts to get a bit juicy, or depending on your personal tastes, painfully bitter. These cards, or more specifically the 25 different cards in this deck, will let you do things like steal cards from other players, swap hands with another player, or swipe someone's citizens. Cards can be played on your turn as an action, while others can be used on another player's turn as a reaction. Now the first thing I want to do as I get into my thoughts on this game is share with you a clip from the Dice Tower West convention, where our good friend Mike DeLisio shared his number 4 thing he's tired of in gaming.
One of the things I'm tired of is, I understand that you want to inject theme, and you want to reinforce the theme that your game is trying to come across. That's great. But how about in the rulebook you use actual English words and not use ridiculous thematic language to describe things that we all understand? Okay.
Now, let me read for you the first paragraph of gameplay from this manual, the first line following the completion of setup. Play begins with the regent whose prowess corresponds to the highest caste, and then proceeds clockwise. What? And what makes it worse is that the glossary on the preceding page defines prowess as the ability to perform operations related to one of the 6 castes. What the hell does that mean? I literally spent 10 minutes trying to decrypt the first paragraph of gameplay in this manual, which should have said the first player is a player whose player mat represents the highest rank of caste in the game, which it then should have defined, since nowhere in this manual does it rank the 6 castes that come in this stupid game. Now, after laboriously deciphering the abhorrent rulebook of this game, Regency quickly resorts to the cadence of a chaotic, random game of chance and luck. On a turn, you might draw some new cards, maybe spend a few of them to charge up your player power, trying not to mess up all these cards under your mat, and then add a new card to your domain. And when it's your next turn, that card and maybe another one has been stolen from your domain, your hand is empty, and you're kind of wondering why the heck you bothered to sort out the rulebook. And the player powers certainly do little to balance the randomness of this game. You could have the ability to draw a bunch of extra cards at the end of your turn, while another player simply gets to add 1 random card from either the draw deck or discard pile. And of course, after you have all these extra cards in your hand, another player could play their barter card, letting them swap the 1 card left in their hand with all the ones you now hold in yours. I hated this game. It's Munchkin with the theme of arrogance, and the player who wins will be the one who simply draws the best hand of cards at the end of their previous turn and is left alone long enough to put it to good use. I will say that I'm quite shocked to see this with a solid score of 8 out on BGG, but I do kinda get it. And honestly, in that short window between finally understanding how to play this game and actually sitting down to do so, I was quite stoked to get into it. Honestly, I do like that idea of building up to playing more cards, of holding on to that card that you're anxious to unlock the full potential of to then wreak havoc on your foes. But in reality, those experiences come far too infrequently. And speaking of reality, Regency quickly reveals itself to be a little less polished than its name might suggest. There are 18 different player mats in this box. What a treasure trove of variety, I'm sure you're thinking, until you realize that it's just the same 6 player powers repeated 3 times. And this deck of cards, as I mentioned, there's only 25 different action cards in this deck of 96, which means play this game once and you are likely to experience everything it has to offer. I've been quite honest on this channel about not being the hugest fan of random chaos games. I can certainly tolerate randomness in a game state or maybe having to change up my future plans, but I, and statistically a lot of other players, hate having things taken from me. I hate having a move that I've spent 3 turns gearing up for being immediately undone by another player. Some folks thrive on those kinds of games, and to you I say, have at it. I myself, however, am likely to never play Regency again. Cheers. There are 2 types of citizens, simple and privileged. Ugh, I can't even say that without throwing up my mouth a little bit.